Even the best locked and secured computers get viruses. Years ago, my department received word from our security department that we had a PC on our building's network that was hitting their virus honeypot subnet. So the search began. All they could give us was an IP address and a computer name, which we didn't recognize. We combed through the entire building, room by room, and took it as an opportunity to inventory everything in the building, and found a few PCs hidden under professors' desks and in their closets. But no luck finding the one that was spewing nasties onto our network. Security had already killed the network jack, so we figured someone would complain eventually. But no dice. We finally had to give up the search, scratching our heads that no one would miss it. Fast forward to about a year later. The media library for our building was undergoing renovations, and the new manager of that area contacted us about possibly fixing the network on a computer they were intending to use to keep a database of their books/media. It was in a vault. A large room-sized vault. One that we didn't even know existed nor had access to. So as we're checking on this ancient PC and marveling at how there was even a network cable drilled through the vault walls, and then it dawns on us. IT's the missing diseased PC. They hadn't opened the vault in years nor knew what was inside. Crazy that the most secure systems are still vulnerable. It really is true that the only way to keep a computer safe is to unplug the network cable. Scissors, the ultimate network security tool. The next time upper management asks for recommendations on keeping their data safe, tell them they should be running with Scissors. Scissors should be the name of the ultimate antivirus software. Scissors, antivirus software so good you'd think we took scissors to your network connection. What do we do about Wi-Fi though? Tinfoil hats. Faraday cages. Ooh, Faraday hats. Faraday suits. There was an MIT where else study that discovered where wearing only a hat causes it to act as an antenna. Found a link. Absolutely hilarious. It really is true that the only way to keep a computer safe is to unplug the network cable. Even that isn't good enough. Stuxnet spread via infected USB drives. Let me introduce Lamphone. This truly makes me wonder if any of the Earth's history is truly lost. Someday maybe even the sound of dinosaur footsteps can be retrieved. That's scientific poetry. The only truly secure computer is inside a locked vault with no external connections at all, including power, and guarded by an armed guard and a dog, whose job is to bite the guard if he tries to open the door. Until the guard brings in a steak to keep the dog busy while he opens the door. That is where the second guard comes in. And the second dog in case the second guard gets any ideas. Next you're gonna tell me Nicolas Cage has to get into that computer to find a national treasure. Alas, there was the new library on the computer and no backups. XD. If it was in a locked vault, it's possible updates weren't happening, so no patching of security holes. It's also possible someone set up a dumb system to remotely access it. I was a dumb high schooler in 2000 and set up a HTPC with a no password VNC connection that I port forwarded thinking I could access it from a friend's house. And my thought was nobody is going to find this, the internet is huge. It took about a week before I turned on my TV to see someone remotely trying to buy something with a stolen credit card. Crazy that the most secure systems are still vulnerable. Physically secure, sure. Sounds like that computer hadn't been patched in ages though. But yes, no network, no external connectivity whatsoever, located in a SIF, and highly vetted personnel using it is the only way. And even that's no guarantee in preventing certain types of attacks. See Snowden. Don't forget to remove the mouse/keyboard, floppy/CD/DVD drive and disable Bluetooth and the USB ports. Still able to be attacked. If you can get physical access, even ignoring the possibility of an attacker bringing their own interface devices and forcing the machine to boot into an environment they control. They could always just yank the drives. Physical access to a machine is game over for cybersecurity. This is why I don't get the hyped up news articles about the next USB exploit a few months back. Don't recall what it was called. Rubber duckies and other USB attacks have been a thing for many years, and it's inherently not patchable. If the computer can be touched or something physically inserted, it's game over. Only exception being stuff where physical access usually doesn't include any actual USB ports or the like, ATMs for instance. If the computer can be touched or something physically inserted, it's game over. Only exception being stuff where physical access usually doesn't include any actual USB ports or the like, ATMs for instance. I don't know anything about ATM construction, but unless whatever internal drive it has is soldered or it uses a soak or something, it could theoretically still be attacked. Hell, possibly even then, I wouldn't be surprised if there were malicious devices that you could splice onto cabling. Course, You'd have to get into the damn thing, and they probably make that very difficult, at least without obvious signs of tampering. Never mind the fact you'd be on camera the whole time, since they're very firmly mounted. External I/O doesn't matter if you can get into the hardware itself. I wrote a program that was called PC Beacon. What it did was you could remote into the PC and have it do things like a blinking screen or use the PC speaker to make noise. This way, if you didn't know where the PC is, you could play Marco Polo and easily find it. Imagine the scare when you send out the Marco command to an infected station, and your own computer yells Polo at you. That would be funny. Here is the post where I released PC Beacon. Didn't they know that the only unhackable computer is one that's running a secure operating system, welded inside a steel safe, buried under a ton of concrete at the bottom of a coal mine guarded by the SAS and a couple of armored divisions? An underscore switched off underscore? I think that a computer on a distant space probe with no battery would be a strong contender. I was going to mention software updates to Voyager until you got to no battery. I mean, technically, the Voyager probes don't actually have a battery, I don't think, unless you consider an RTG a battery. It really is true that the only way to keep a computer safe is to unplug the network cable. You spelled power source wrong. What if the device is PO? You're still disconnecting the power source then, aren't you? If you have the physical switch port it was connected to, it should have been easy to find the PC. Just follow the cable. Anytime I visit one of the locations I'm responsible for, I bring a notepad and make drawings of any area I visit, and mark down every effing RJ45 port I see, and what they're marked with. This is later compared to the patch panel in the comms room, so I know if there are still missing points and refined onto a halfway decent floor plan. Every point is also written into a spreadsheet, so I know that 3.1.15 isn't only floor 3.15 on the first panel, but also that it's room T323. It's a massive job, though, but doing it bit by bit, I'm not overwhelmed completely. If there are leftover points in the comms room, the numbering may give clues as to where they are. Most cable monkeys start numbering at one wall, and work in a straight line. So a missing line is probably close to 1 with a nearby number. Unless it was added later. In the future, if I get a message about a virus spewer or illegal PC on the network, and get the switch port, it should be just a moment's work to follow the patch cable to the panel, then glance at a poster above it to find where the offender is hiding. I hope. Crazy story. Even crazier that you had to do a room-by-room search. Were you not using managed switches? You should have been able to narrow it down to a switchboard on a specific switch even if someone plugged in something unmanaged at an end device. This was over 15 years ago in a highly non-centralized university at the time. Much better now. Finding the port on the switch might have been possible, but there was probably no record of where the physical jack was. This building still had 10 base half-duplex copper networking in the walls, most likely installed by Alexander Graham Bell himself. Installed by Alexander Graham Bell himself. LOL. That made me laugh. I worked in a library after high school. It was a very pleasant. Until one went into the extension, which was in the basement. The lighting was almost non-existent, and they had picked a dark brown color for the walls at least. I assume so. It was hard to see them. Being down there left one feeling quite alone and afraid. There was only one way down, via a special elevator, and no one went down there unless they had a job to do there. And the books they kept down there. I shudder to remember them. I guess there's a reason for places like that. None of those books would be appropriate to leave in view of the public. I exaggerate a bit, but they did keep the controversial stuff down there, like an illustrated guide to historic martyrs. There is no such thing as an unhackable computer, or an unpickable lock, or an unbreachable security measure of any kind. There is only not worth the time and effort. Way back around 2000, I was in a meeting with the executive team of one of our current clients. They had an e-commerce system we designed and maintained. The president of the company demanded that we provide a system that was 100% secure. It took quite a while to make him understand that wasn't possible. This was only a few months after I was in a similar meeting with the same customer, and our sales guy made the statement that their new server would provide them with infinite capacity. Was this at a large university in Pittsburgh? Because I was told this story over 20 years ago at a large university in Pittsburgh. Large university in SC, not PA. Sorry. Wait, how does your network department not have a drop map? This was over 15 years ago, and at the time our network was a hodgepodge of various steps trying to make it work. Luckily it's all been upgraded and redone, so it works much better now. It's all a lost cause. Look at the work of Mordecai Guri. Even air-gapped computers are not safe. My security professor in college once said the only perfectly secure system is one that's never powered on. I'll bet it was some kind of Pentium 2 based machine that ran who knows what back in its day. It's all about the Pentiums, baby. The only way to truly secure any computer is to wipe the hard drive, disconnect it completely and put it back in the box. Why would a library have a literal vault? Also, if they hadn't opened it in forever, so nobody should have touched it in ever, how did a virus get onto the computer? I am confused. 1. To store things securely. 2. Over the network. A very common malware infection vector now.